The Toronto Community Mobilization Network is a group of community groups, individuals who are coming together to facilitate accommodation, transportation, medic support, legal support, communication, outreach, education. So a number of things, and we're coming together. Hundreds of people have been coming into town over the past weekend. We are inspired, we are empowered, and we're getting ready for the thousands more who are going to be joining us for the next week in the theme Days of Resistance. We are starting today with the theme Day of Resistance for economic justice, an end to war and occupation, anti-poverty, and migrant justice. Tomorrow we will be focusing on queer rights, disability rights, and gender justice. On Wednesday will be the day of climate justice and environmental justice, and on Thursday will be the day for Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. And then as the G8 and G20 meet over the weekend, we will see here in Toronto that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be days of action. So we really invite you to come to all the press conferences. Every day we will be talking about different themes. We will be having speakers from various actions. So definitely come, and try to come to as much as you can during the week, because we are excited and we hope that you are as well. So I definitely want to note that everyone is coming together. We're seeing the faces, we're seeing our communities, and we're all coming together. We are united to say abolish the G8, abolish the G20. They are incompetent, they are unrepresentative, and we do not want them here in Toronto. We do not want them meeting ever. They are not representative of the world's people. They are coming together to say that they can manage the global economic crisis, but really what they're doing is passing on the bailout to the people of their countries. We are seeing that here in Toronto. As stimulus packages are coming in, we are seeing cuts to social assistance, we're seeing cuts to the special diet, we are seeing cuts to the shelter system. This is unacceptable. And the G20 cannot meet. They're incompetent, they are proving it as we speak. And so we are all coming to say, abolish the G20, they should not be meeting. Cancel the summits. Now I just want to pass it on to our first speaker, Syed Hassan, who is a spokesperson for the Toronto Community Mobilization Network.
We have to begin by talking about the fact that there are 289 million people globally that are unemployed. More than half the world's population are presently living on less than $2.5 a day. This is not a coincidence. This is a direct result of the banking and corporate policies of the G8, G20. We are presently living in an economic climate that favors the rich and completely oppresses the poor. 500 people today earn more than 460 million people. This is an outrage. The G8, G20 countries collectively produce 85% of the world's arms and are responsible for 90% of the wars. This has resulted in millions being displaced. We are poor. There are farmers around the world, there are farmers in this country, there are poor folk across the world, communities that happen to be disabled, people of color that are being pushed out of their homes and onto the streets, be it because of the summit here, which is the homeless population, be it in countries of the South where they're pushed into cities, upping the amount of poverty there. This is an outrage. It's an outrage that impacts us all. The effects of the G20 policies are not limited to a few actions or a few summits. This does not happen just once. They don't just show up at some city every year. Their policies impact our communities every day of our lives. What we've seen in Toronto is that we've seen a massive cut to social services. What we've seen is that more and more people are coming in on temporary work programs. And when these two are connected, when we start seeing that when people are being displaced out of their homes but are not able to come to the countries of the G20, we realize that this system is entirely and only supposed to favor the rich. In the face of this injustice, it has become imperative that communities start uniting, and we have. The purpose of these theme days is to showcase the fact that the communities in Toronto that fight for economic justice, for migrant justice, for queer rights, for disability rights, for Indigenous sovereignty, for climate justice, for environmental justice are connected, that we are using this as a moment to come together. This is a convergence of ideas and hopes and anger and rage. And what we will see in the next 4 days is a series of events that will highlight those, leading up to massive demonstrations in the city Friday through Sunday. I invite you today at 2 o'clock at Allen Gardens. A demonstration will be starting that will be going across the city to specifically target corporations that have been bailed out. This is a response to an autonomous call. The Toronto Community Mobilization Network put out a call on these principles, and communities across Ontario have decided to respond on these themes. We will be seeing actions not just in the city, but across the country. So please come out at 2 o'clock today, and we will see you tomorrow morning.
All right, so I'm going to welcome our next speaker. So just so that everyone knows, this is the Alternative Media Center, and I'm going to introduce Amy Miller, who's an independent journalist who is involved in various independent media projects, and she works a lot with closely with communities to support them and provide them with media and resources.
It's so good to see so many folks who came out to see what we're up to. Today's the official first day that the Alternative Media Center, where we're at today, will be doing on-the-ground live coverage of all the events that are taking place. It's the mandate of the space and the convergence of the Alternative Media Center to come and do reporting on the ground for the actions and give that space. The main forum we have to do that is right here, the address. I encourage everyone to check it out, the 2110.media.ca site. And at that site, you'll be able to see 24 hours a day live Twitter feed, Flickr feed, posting, and video. We're also going to be having live video streams coming during actions. We're going to be starting the live video stream today at the 2 p.m. action. We have people who are going to be covering all of the actions, who work very closely with the organizers who have been putting together the actions so that we can make sure that the marginalized voices that usually aren't covered in the mainstream get out and get heard. What we're also be doing every day throughout the convergences, coming out with the daily broadsheet, and that's primarily the Toronto Media Co-op who's putting it out. It's called The Spoke, and we just came out with one this morning. People worked on it last night. We had our first story meeting here at this space last night, and people decided to come together and get it out there. So I strongly suggest that everyone take a copy if you don't have one to see. They're going to be passed out at various locations across the city every day. We have a distribution network of people who are going to make sure that they get out around the city. They're also available by PDF, and they're going to be handed out at various actions. And that's a way to make sure that grassroots voices in resistance to the G20 will be heard, because we often see that the mainstream media are not covering that, and we think it's really important. So by all means, 24 hours a day, the website's going to be updated. There's live streams in every medium, so we look forward to having you check out the site. And in terms of the space, these are alternative and independent media makers who have gone through a process to apply and be part of the center. And so we're really excited to have this space and to be working in a collaborative nature with various media makers from across the country who are having the chance to put their efforts together and really rock it and have great on-the-ground coverage. So thank you.
Thanks, Amy. I want to introduce our next speaker, Jesse Rosenfeld, who's a longtime independent journalist and a collective member of the Toronto Media Co-op. He will also be writing about the Abolish G8 G20 convergence. Jesse?
Do you want to wait for the car, or do you want to do that halfway through?
I don't know, should we move the hockey nuts first?
No,
I think...
We can make them wait, I think.
Yeah.
Can someone talk to them?
Just a correction, I'm actually with the Alternative Media Center Collective. So, you know, media, interviewing media, filming media, might seem a little bizarre to you, but we're kind of a little different than some of you guys are. And so what we're about is we're a collective of independent journalists, progressive publications that network together to basically try and get a comprehensive coverage as to what the G8's about, why it's happening, what people are saying about it, and put it within a context that sort of reflects what people who are affected by it are saying. So we're a group of independent journalists and media makers. What our focus is on is a critical investigative reporting approach to the G20 and a frontline journalism approach. We're going to be at all the flashpoints. We're going to be at all the different creative actions that are coming up, and we're going to be putting it out there and discussing it. And basically what we're trying to do is put forward a discussion that isn't getting put forward, which is how are people affected by this? Why are they what are they saying? And what is the reason that they're coming out, or that they're feeling too intimidated to come out?